want to read you my favourite poem. Am I allowed to do that, haven't I? It's only 7 lines long. You think if it was my favourite, it would be 700 lines. But I don't write long poems, you know. And I think concentration's part of it, part of what it's all about. And this poem was I remember when I was a schoolboy, I brought back from school a harmonica, a mouth organ, and my father picked it up and started to play it quite well. And I'd wanted to write about that for years and years. And then, years later, I was reading a book about the early Greek philosophers, and there was Anaximenes, who believed that air was the basis of all existence, air. And he blew life into this precious memory of my dad, and who had taught himself the harmonica in the trenches of the First World War, where he'd been a brave soldier. And I mention towards the end of this very short poem a music hall favourite, and the music hall favourite I have is one I can never hear without wanting to shed tears. It's A Long Way to Tipperary. But you can choose your own. I'll take a sip. My father died before I was 21, when I thought I knew everything. And I wish I'd talked to him more. A Tommy drops his harmonica in no man's land. My dad, like old Anaximenes, breathes in and out through the holes and reeds and finds this melody. Our souls are air. They hold us together. Listen. A music hall favourite lasts until the end of time. My dad is playing it. His breath contains the world. The wind is playing an orchestra of harmonicas. Now, I was talking to Des Lally at lunch, our visitor from Connemara, from Clifton, and I was saying, I'm ashamed to say that I actually liked lockdown. It just reinforced me in my usual hermit status. And he said, yeah, he liked it as well. And what I did in the course of the lockdown was I wrote another book of poems. And there's a book of poems which will be appearing in September 22, in about 10 months' time, 11 months' time. And it's called The Slain Birds. And it's from a genius line of Dylan Thomas: for the sake of the souls of the slain birds sailing. Isn't that wonderful? For the sake of the souls of the slain birds sailing. And I'm going to read 4 or 5 poems from this book, this new book, new poems, some of which I won't have read before. But now the first one is called, the very first poem in the book is called The Tawny Owl, and it's about my 2 beautiful granddaughters who live in the Western Highlands, called Maisie and Amelia. And on their way to school, they discovered this dead tawny owl which had been killed by a car. And they brought it home. And this is about this very simple poem about that. But it uses a marvellous word which I didn't know before, smudging, which is a cleansing ceremony. And I refer to Eric Hosking, who is a very great photographer of birds. Tony Owl. At least the motorist who stunned the owl stopped and lifted the body onto the verge, and there Maisie and Amelia found it. A friend will soak the wings in salty water to make shaman fans for smudging rites. Another wants the skull for her collection and will have to bury it for 1 whole year. Why are there no tawny owls in Ireland? Do you know that Eric Hosking photograph of the tawny that robbed him of an eye? Rage and terror cramped between the branches. Maisie sketches in charcoal its underside. Amelia hugs to herself all the feathers. I will look after you, poor owl, she sighs. And then a family friend gave it a new age family friend gave it a new age funeral, and this is 2 quatrains called Ritual for Dunya Shakti. With rosemary and rosemary ash and sage, you buried the owl near your rowan tree. You used a black obsidian stone as well, the one the pendulum chose, and water. You thanked the tawny owl for coming here, and the grandmothers and grandfathers of the 4 directions, above and below. After this shocking death, you sang a song. And both girls are very creative, and little Amelia, when she was about 7, made out of a barbecue skewer and fuse wire and buttons her model of the solar system. This is about 15 lines long. Amelia's model. In her model of the solar system, my 7-year-old cosmologist ties to a barbecue skewer with fuse wire the planets, buttons. For Venus, an ivory button. Mercury, silver beside the sun. Mother of pearl for Jupiter. Red and green for Mars and Earth. For Saturn's rings, a pipe cleaner, so that in the outer darkness close to the kitchen, her brown eyes represent Uranus, Neptune. Amelia, you didn't include Pluto in your wire sculpture of the solar system. Tiny and very far away, an ice world of ice mountains and methane snow. A dance of 5 moons unlit by the sun, the god of the afterlife's kingdom. We shall go there when we die, dear child. And poem called Solomon's Ring. Solomon's Seal, sorry. Have to find it first. I discovered this growing, here it is. I discovered this growing self-seeded in our garden. And as you know, it's a little bit like a lily of the valley. It's a very elegant, beautiful flower. And I immediately went to the Song of Solomon, you know, those very erotic love poems, which one's very surprised to find in the middle of the Old Testament. Anyway, here's a poem called Solomon's Seal. Shaded by the self-seeded hazels in a back corner of our garden, to the right of the flowering currant, an unexpected Solomon's Seal I want to show you. Does it matter why such graceful bells are so called? Seals of a medieval document? It's May, and Solomon says, "Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. Winter is past, the rain is over and gone. Flowers appear on the earth." A solitary cowslip has survived under our beech, the first grass cutting. The time of the singing of birds is come. And this one's, I can't let the COVID awful thing go without a mention. And this is a poem called Sneezewort. And when my grandson Ben was a toddler, I took him botanizing in Corrigskeewan, the part of Mayo where we go, and discovered Sneezewort. And this poem begins with a question, if you like, and ends unable really to answer the question. So another flower poem. I love flowers, wildflowers especially. Now that the virus keeps us apart, I try to remember exactly where I introduced my first grandson years ago to this unassuming supposed cure for cough and cold. And he drew a picture of it above spindly letters, Sneezewort, petals arranged like a daisy's around a grey and yellow eye that might irradiate sickness. Was it where a runnel murmurs into the lake without a name? And here's a little poem, a new poem about the lovely place names of which we have in Ireland, of which Rostrevor would be one, wouldn't it? So next time I come, I'll fit it into a poem. It's about 8 lines long. I twine our souls with names from this landscape, as the neap tide uncovers Carricknashina, close to where we swim, the way to Tonakira, where we walk as to the islands, Barnabon and Kinnakallew, nearly off the map, drifts of melody, and Trolekakulia, where we shall dander until the day we die. Edna says there's an awful lot of death in these poems, you know. But goodness, you know, when you're 82, let's be honest, you know, you're waiting in the departure lounge, aren't you? Right. I'll end. This is a poem called After Amergin. Now, people say that it's the first poem in Irish, and the Amergin was the legendary bard of the Ulster cycle, and in the poem I use words which my literary friends don't know. They don't know that an otter's den is a holt, and that a badger's is called a set, or that a wimbrel is just like a small curlew with a beautiful call, which you occasionally hear down the chimney. Okay. Well, and thank you for listening to me. Anyway, After Amergin. This is the last one, Tommy. I am the trout that, oh yes, Amergin's poem is, I am the sea, I am the wind, I am the spume on the waves, I am, and I use that formula. I am the trout that vanishes between the stepping stones. I am the elver that lingers under the little bridge. I am the leveret that breakfasts close to the fuchsia hedge. I am the stoat that dances around the erratic boulder. I am the skein of sheep's wool, wind and barbed wire tangle. I am the mud and spittle that make the swallow's nest. I am the stone chat's music of pebble striking pebble. I am the overhead raven with his eye on the lamb's eye. I am the night flying wimbrel that whistles down the chimney. I am the pipistrelle bat at home among constellations. I am the raindrop enclosing fairy flax or brookweed. I am water lily blossom and autumn lady's tresses. I am the thunderstorm that penetrates the keyhole. I am the sooty hailstone melting by the fireside. I am the otter's holt and the badger's set in the dunes. I am the badger drowning at spring tide among flotsam. I am the otter dying on top of the burial mound. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Extraordinary experience. Some poems in meditation, on war and death, and some nature poems. So thank you, Michael, for being here. This is the fifth Rostrevor Literary Festival, but the first time that we're going to have a Writers Award. So it's the Rostrevor Writers Award. The first recipient, Michael Longley, and Jane Kelly and Sheila Taldy are going to make the presentation, and we'll say a quick few words. Thank you.
Michael received this Writers Award, Kidney Lafolge. But first we have to give you a little local history. So, about a young woman called Bronagh. So in the 6th century, a young woman named Bronagh set up a monastic community at Kilbrony, Rostrevor. Following the demise of the convent, a bell could be heard ringing on stormy nights. Legend had it that it was a warning to seafarers. Others explained the noise away with stories of banshees and fairies, or a call to the church. In 1839, Ihe na Gaoithe struck. The great winds ripped through the countryside, and an old tree in Kilbrony graveyard fell. Within its split trunk, a bell was found. The tree had, in a sense, wrapped its arms around the bell. Today, the bell can be seen in the Star of the Sea church in Rostrevor. So we took this bell image and had a specially carved bell as the Writers Award in this 5th annual Rostrevor Literary Festival. So I hope you can feel the love and peace in this bell.
Oh.
And the story of the object of the artwork is that it is actually a 5,000 years old oak, bog oak, and it was found near Loch Ness. And then it was taken to the shed where it was drying 37 years long. And then the woodcarver called Stephen Hamilton made this replica, which is exactly the replica of the St. Bruno's bell. And it's standing on Burr Elm, which was found in Ballydogan Mill, near Downpatrick. And this is representing light and literature, and we are very honored that you are here to receive it first time ever.
I feel quite undeserving. I love the whole notion of bog oak, and I love to hear bells, and it's such a thoughtful gift, and I'm very, 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 very touched and grateful. And I want a copy of the legend to peruse. And I feel that this beautiful object will bring peace and happiness and fulfillment to our home, to me and my wife, and our 3 children and 7 grandchildren.